About a year ago or so, I watched a video by the YouTube channel Home Team History, where he was comparing West African statues to those of Kemet. This is something the Egyptologist Cheikh Diop had also done in his book, The African Origin of Civilization. This is one of the few books written by an Egyptologist that actually compares the art of Kemet to that of the rest of Africa. I always thought this information was quite fascinating, so when I saw in my comment section someone asking me to do something similar as well, I thought, well, it wouldn't hurt for this information to be spread even more, because we all know that the ones who are currently dominating the fields of Egyptology are never gonna point to those similarities found in West African statues and the rest of Africa in general, and those found in Kemet, even if those similarities are quite striking. Anyways, that's why I decided to do something similar as well, and also because someone reminded me to do so. Anyways, thanks to the comment from Super Mekai Kibito for reminding me to make such a video as well. This is something I've always wanted to do. Also, this video is going to be a bit different from what you've seen in Home Team History's video or in Cheikh Diop's book if you've read it. As the title implies, we will not only focus on West African art, but also Central African art as well. Alright, with that said, let's jump into this video. So, as I said in the intro, this is going to be a bit different. First, it is going to be longer because we here at Quelimika like to go into details. Second, I added some statues from Central Africa, but we will still focus more on West African art since their civilization has just yielded so much more artifacts to compare with. And third, well, there is no third thing. I just like to do things in 3 parts. Anyways, let's begin comparing. Okay, now from here on it's gonna be freestyle, so I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. This video is not scripted. Yeah, so let's begin comparing. You're also gonna hear some noises. I'm gonna try to get rid of them as much as I can in post-production, but yeah, if you hear some noises, it's because I'm moving around to click on the images and, you know, yeah. So let's begin comparing. Right, so the first part of this video is gonna be comparing Ife art to that of Kemet. Alright, so what we're going to do is compare their features, such as the nose, the lips, the prognatism, that is the area around the mouth that goes forward, which is found mostly within African populations. Right, just look at their lips. These are typical African lips. The art is quite the same. I just thought these would be amazing to show people. Just compare for yourselves. Let's move on to the next. Alright, on the left we have our king Tutankhamen, and on the right we have a prince from Ife. Again, we focus on their lips, their noses. If the ancient Egyptians or the Kemites chose to put these specific features, that is full lips and wide nose, on the statues of their pharaohs and representations of all their pharaohs and their people, that's because these are the features that were present. And look at the skin color of our boy pharaoh, it's a brown skin. So what would be the conclusion for someone looking at this statue on the left that people claim is not African? What would be the conclusion? Because we've seen on the right here, these are typical African features that African sculptors managed to capture and put in their art. So if the ancient Kemites put full lips on their statues, that means their population had full lips. The West African statue proves it to you. Just compare for yourselves. Look at the lips, look at the nose, compare the two. Quite striking. Next set. Again, we compare this prince of Ife on the right and this prince of, this pharaoh. This is a pharaoh. Okay, this pharaoh, this king of Kemet on the left. Again, if you notice, both their lips are protruding. That's called a prognatism. The nose of the pharaoh is gone. We don't know who took it out, but the lips alone are pretty telling. Even the cheekbones, if we can include that, very similar. Let's go to the next one. On the right we have a Kemite woman, and on the left an Ife woman. Compare their lips. Again, the artists both chose to represent full lips, and same for the nose. The nose is wide. This is not the nose you see or the set of lips you see in the Mediterranean region or Europe. Anyways, just compare the two. They look like artifacts that have been made by the same artists who were representing black people. Full lips, broad nose, and brown skin. Of course, on the Ife, there's no brown skin, but we all know where they come from. These are West Africans. Oh, and actually, when Europeans first saw these things, from Ife, they were so amazed. They were like, nah, this must not have been Africans as usual, as per usual. They were like, nah, this must have been a race of Europeans that somehow came to Africa and disappeared and left no trace. But these heads, where they chose to represent Africans only, not themselves. Anyways, I just think that these images are pretty telling. You tell me what in the comment section. Next one, a set of women again. On the left, we have our sister from West Africa, and on the right, we have our sister from East Africa or Northeast Africa. Look at their lips again. Same lips, full lips. The upper lip, the lower lip are both the same. I don't know. Anyways, this is a statue of a woman from Kemet. Her lips are full, and these same full lips are captured in West African sculptures. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Why would they capture these features if they were not Africans? If they were not black, why would they? Like, these are stereotypical African features. Full lips and wide nose. This Kemite woman definitely was a black woman. Even look at her hair. These are typical African braids. And this is not a hairstyle you find in their countries. Look at this Greek statue. That's not a hairstyle you saw on Greek statues. Why? Because they didn't do it. They weren't doing these hairstyles. This is a typical African hairstyle. Next one. Queen Tia on the right and an Ife princess on the left. Again, pay attention to their prognatism. Both of them have full lips and a prognatism. But still, they will tell us that this one on the right is a white woman because, yeah, she had long hair. Man, have you seen Ethiopian women? They don't have short hair. And also, there's a myth out there that African hair does not grow long. That's a huge myth. It's a myth, okay? Thank you. Anyways, let's go. Prognatism. Full lips both, typical African women. All right, next one, we have a pharaoh here, a female pharaoh on the right. I forgot her name. And an Ife princess on the left. Compare their lips again. Full lips. Both of them have a prognatism. These features that we see on the pharaohs were accurate depictions. Some will come and tell you, no, they were exaggerating certain features because, well, it had a meaning. And now, that's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit, okay? We all know that's BS. This pharaoh on the right, she's got a broad nose because she had a broad nose. She's got full lips because she had full lips. Same for our West African sister here. Full lips, broad nose, yeah, checks. Next one again, you can compare these two. This is the daughter. This on the right here is the daughter of Akhenaten. Right. Her lips are even more protruding and just as full. They are actually exactly the same as that of the princess from Ife. Look at their noses. The noses are pretty telling too. Oh, even the shape of the head. Look at the skull shape. This is an ancient African beauty standard whereby someone needed to shape the skull. More similarities. These princesses look the same. I mean, this angle is just perfect. Ife head on the left, Kemet princess head on the right. Same features. Anyways, let's go. Next one, we have our pharaoh, Amenhotep III. And on the left, we have a king from Ife. Someone might correct me in the comment section. I don't know if it's a prince or a king. Anyways, just look at the features of these two powerful men of Africa. I heard people say that Amenhotep III is European. I don't know how many Europeans you've seen with full lips like that and a broad nose like that. And also a brown skin, right? Look at that picture. That's Amenhotep III on a wall painting with dark brown skin. Yes. So you have dark brown skin, full lips, prognatism, and a wide nose. You're still not African. But we look at the Ife prince, full lips, prognatism, and a wide nose, not even as wide as that of Amenhotep III. That's an African right there. And I bet you guys, if they had found these sculptures of Ife somewhere north of Africa, they wouldn't have been accepted as African sculptures. They would have been saying that, no, these are clearly a mix of European and North Africans. Yeah, that's why they have full lips. That's what they say for the Kemites. So again, just compare. Full lips. Why would they put full lips on the sculpture of their king? If these features were not the features they saw every day. Anyways, there is even evidence later on in this video to show you that the most common feature of Kemet was full lips and broad nose. Keep watching this video. Next one, we have Mentuhotep II. with his dark skin. I mean, this is black skin, jet black skin, full lips, broad nose. Compare his face to that of the Ife king or prince. Next one is the pharaoh Khufu, builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the greatest one, the biggest. Yeah, look at his features. Full lips, broad nose. Compare it to that of our brother from Ife. Again, they are the same. Our brother from Kemet there, Khufu, is often represented as some white guy in one movie I saw. Yeah, in one movie I saw, he was represented as a white guy, but then you look at this statue of him and you're like, wait a minute, we've been fooled. Next one is another pharaoh. I believe this is, I forgot his name. Anyways, what's his name again? I forgot his name. We have another pharaoh here. This is a pharaoh from the, let me check. 12th dynasty. Alright, so on the right we have a pharaoh from the 12th dynasty. This is Pharaoh Senusret from the 12th dynasty. Look at the features represented. You can tell for yourself. Many of Kemet's pharaohs have features that are the same to those of West Africa, according to the art, the sculptures that the artists left to us. Both ancient art, both depicting the same features. What should we conclude, given that they are both in Africa, given that they are both described as dark-skinned, given that they are both described as having protruding lips? What should we conclude? Alright, now this is my favorite piece. I love this picture because I made it. I mean, I made it in one of my videos. It didn't get any attention because I put it at the end of the video, so yeah, that's my bad. Anyways, it's the focus of this video now. Just look at it. Just look at these three beautiful princesses. This is a princess from Ife in the middle, and on the right and the left, you have two princesses from Kemet. Look at their lips, look at their noses. Okay, I'll just stop here because I don't need to say a lot. Just compare the two. Protruding lips, wide nose, and they are described, both of them, let's not forget this, they are described as dark-skinned or black-skinned or very dark-skinned. Let's not forget that detail. Alright, next one. Alright, on the left we have a beautiful West African woman. Oh, she's really cute, this one. Anyways, and on the right we have an East African woman from Kemet. As Home to Mystery said in his video, one is representing East African beauty and one is representing West African beauty. And both of them have full lips. Both of them have a wide nose. Just look at them. Next one. The hair, man, that hair, come on. Anyways, again, look at her lips. Look at the lips of this beautiful statue from Kemet and look at the lips from this beautiful statue from West Africa. I mean, the details of these West African statues from Ife are just insane. They tell us there's no similarities between the rest of Africa and Kemet. But then you find Ife's sculptures. And I'm going to explain to you a concept that they have in anthropology. When they find that two people who are separated by a long distance are practicing the same thing, the most sensible hypothesis to present is that those people have the same origin. They share a common ancestor where they got the practice from, and that's why you find these two practices in locations that are separated by a great distance. Anyways, so that's the concept of anthropology. If you have West Africans practicing the same art that Kemites once practiced as well, once excelled at, that's probably because of a common ancestry in the past. Next one, Ife princess on the left and Kemite woman on the right. Again, both have a prognatism, both have a wide nose that opens up, both have full lips. And some might say, well, but the skin on that Kemite woman is not brown. My friend, let me tell you that the paint has faded. You can clearly see that the paint was brown. And that hairstyle is not European, it's not Middle Eastern, because you can't do that with straight, thin hair. Otherwise, you would have seen it in the Mediterranean. That's not what you see. Even in the Maghreb, this is Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia there, you don't see this. You don't see these hairstyles because that kind of hair cannot do this. Anyways, let's continue. Next again, compare these two beautiful women. On the right, we have East African beauty, and on the left, we have West African beauty. Next one, we have a Kemite man on the right and a West African man on the left. Again, both of them have a prognatism. Both of them have the same nose, actually. Yeah, they say, oh, Africans only have this broad nose, these West Africans. No, clearly they... Clearly that's not the case. Even artists noticed that hundreds of years ago. Anyways, just look at these two men. They look very similar. And that man's hairstyle is a hairstyle that you still find in the Kushite people of Ethiopia today. And those people are not Caucasian by any definition of the term. They are Africans, black Africans. Let's continue. We're still in Ife because damn, there is just so much statuary in Kemet to compare with Ife, and you see so much similarities. On the right we have the pharaoh Amenhotep III. On every statue depicting this great pharaoh, we have full lips and a broad nose, and this is the same features you see on the West African sculptures. What does that tell you? Again, I repeat, because the sculptors saw those features everywhere, every day, so they put it in their designs, they represented it accurately, which means the Kemites must have been black, and those features are typical African features. Next up, we have a man from Kemet. Compare him to the Ife man, same thing, full lips and prognatism. And then we have the Pharaoh Menkaura compared to the king of Ife. Again, compare the two. Look at their lips, look at their noses. I mean, they look like brothers actually. Yeah, look at their eyes. They look like brothers. Jesus. Anyways, just compare. Full lips everywhere. Right. Again, compare these two. This is a pharaoh from the 12th dynasty, Amenemhet. And on the left, we have a king of Ife. Just look at the two men. Both have full lips and their noses are pretty similar. Should I say more? I think I don't need to say more. I'm just going to be showing pictures. Again, on the right, Queen Hatshepsut. On the left, the princess from Ife. Compare their noses, compare their lips. And we already compared a living West African woman to Queen Hatshepsut, and they were very much the same. I'm gonna put the picture up for you so that you can see. I said this already in a previous video. The skin tone is the same, the nose is the same, the lips are the same, even the eyes. She looks like the sister of the queen. Now let's compare Benin and Kemet. Here we're going to have less, but still some very telling things. Let's go. First, we have a princess or queen from Benin, and on the right we have our Queen Tia. Compare the two women, both have full lips, both have a prognatism. I'm going to show you on the next picture, but let's talk about their noses. Now, one thing you can notice with the Benin sculptures is that the traits are very exaggerated. On the Benin sculptures, they really captured the traits that are stereotypically Africans, and they really standardized them. What scholars say about African sculptures, especially when you move closer to the central part of Africa, you have less of an exact representation of the person, you have more of a standardized representation. So Benin, I think, is in the middle. So it's still trying to represent the queen or the princess, but still with standardized features. So that's why you have this prognatism very pronounced, because it is a very common trait in Africa. And then you have the nose as well, very broad, because it's a very common trait in Africa. Again, that's why. Compare the two on a profile view. Again, both have a prognatism. Some would say, well, the prognatism is not exactly the same. It is the same. The prognatism is still there though. Full lips are represented and broad noses, both of them. Look at these two. I mean, the profile is basically the same. Let's move on to the next one. We have a dignitary or a king from Ife on the left, and a lord or a king or a dignitary, or a lord, someone important in Kemet. Anyways, he's having locks, typical lock. Again, locks are an African hairstyle. Compare the two, compare their lips. Benin on the left, full lips. Kemet on the right, full lips. Benin on the left, broad nose. Kemet on the left, broad nose. Next one, again, we're gonna compare this same Benin lord to King Djoser. Both of them have a prognatism, and both of them have full lips. Just compare the two. Clearly, there was a strong black African presence in Kemet. Let's compare the next one. The next one, we have frontal view of 1, a sarcophagus from Kemet, and 2, on the left here, we have a Benin head. Just look at what you're seeing right there. Compare their lips, again, compare their noses. Both of them are wide. Alright, next we're going to compare Central African art with that of Kemet. Let's go. Alright, so this one on the left is a wooden statue from the kingdom of Kuba, the Kuba kingdom, the Bakuba from DRC. Over here, look at the features you see on the face of this Kuba man. Full lips, broad nose. Look at the right, what do you see? Full lips and broad nose, same thing. And look at this Kuba art, it's so intricate, it's so beautiful, like wow. Anyways, let's go. Next one. On the right, we have Pharaoh Senusret II. Just look at his nose. They didn't manage to remove everything, so you can clearly see that that is a broad nose. And those lips again are full. Compare it to the Central African nose. When I said in my previous videos that the Kemites had typical African features, I meant it. I had seen this evidence. But it's nice to put it into a video and compile all the evidence I had. That's great. Thanks again, Mr. Kibito. Next one. This is a brother. These are brothers, okay? Our brother from Kemet and our Mukuba brother from Congo. These are the same people. With this evidence, one cannot say that the black presence in Kemet was minimal or not strong, because most of the statues I've shown you here clearly depict African features. Let's continue. Next one, we have a scribe on the right from Kemet. This is the scribe Ames, great mathematician of ancient Egypt. He wrote the Rhind papyrus. Now compare him to this Kuba men. The position. When I saw this Kuba artifact, I was dumbfounded. I was like, wait, this is the same position the scribes of Kemet are in when they are sculpted. And get this, he's holding something. In which hand? The left one. Same for the Kemite scribe. And this Kuba man is playing a typical African mathematical game, a board game from Africa known as Soro or Duty or Oware or Awale. Yeah, so he's playing a game and he's holding something circular on his left hand. Same for the Kemite scribe. And notice their right hand, how it is positioned. The same way. Flat palm on the lap. Right. And look at their faces. The scribe there, Ames, is clearly having a prognatism and his nose is gone. But we can clearly see that the nose was broad. Again, the same features are depicted on the Kuba intellectual who's playing a board game there. Next one, again, compare the two. Scribe from Kemet, Kuba men from Congo. Again, compare the two. Get this, on this picture you even have the same hairstyle that you see on the Kuba men is the one that you see on the Kemite scribe. It's pretty telling. Alright, next one. Next one we have Ntadi from the Congo Kingdom. Here we have a Mukongo thinker, a Mukongo man just sitting there and thinking about life, cosmogony, cosmology and astronomy and all that. And on the other side, you have the typical face of Kemet, the hieroglyphic for face. Look at the features represented. The reason why I chose to compare the two is because the lips are the same. The lips represented on this Mukongo man are the same ones represented on the typical hieroglyphic for face. And the nose as well is the same. Now, tell me, why would a people that is not African, that does not share anything with African, or if there is no strong presence in Kemet of black Africans, why would they write the hieroglyphic for face with typical African features? Somebody explain that to me. No one has ever explained that to me, ever. All they come in the comment section to say is, we have DNA evidence. What DNA evidence? Haplogroups. That misleading piece of evidence? Nah, we don't get that here. I've already made a video on haplogroups being very misleading. If you're looking at the hieroglyphic for face, if we're being intellectually honest, you have to admit that there was a strong black presence in ancient Kemet. You have to admit that, because why would they put those typical African features that you find all over the rest of Africa and that you do not find in the statuary of other parts of the world? Why would those features be in Kemet too? That's because there was a strong black presence in Kemet. And when I say a strong black presence, I mean the majority at some point was black African. Now we're going to compare something that I found pretty striking. On the left, you have Dahomey gods, anthropomorphic animals represented in sculpture. The same thing is found in Kemet's culture when representing their gods. The similarities speak for themselves. And these are two peoples again. Remember the anthropological concept that I explained to you. Great distance, but showcase very similar practices. Common ancestor in the past, definitely. Okay, now we're reaching the end of our video. This is the fourth part. Here we're just gonna do some honorable mentions. Let's talk about certain other images that I found very interesting. We compared at length in this video the art of Kemet and the art of the rest of Africa. Here we're going to look at Greek statues. When you look at Greek statuary done by Greeks themselves, you don't see full lips, you don't see broad noses. But somehow some people come and tell us that ancient Kemites were Mediterranean people. When you say Mediterranean people, you mean people from the Maghreb, you mean people from Southern Europe, like Greeks and Italians. So now let's take a look at these statues. One is from Kemet, one is from Greece. Now this is a representation of a Greek governor who came with the Greek invaders of Kemet. This is a governor of the Ptolemaic period. Look at his hair. Their hair is completely different. The artist noticed that the texture was silky. The texture was different from what he saw every day, so he represented it otherwise. The lips are not full anymore. Why? Because this is a white man from Greece. So you cannot sit here, see this evidence, and be like they were still Mediterranean people. You cannot sit here like Eurocentrics and say that the ancient Kemites were white Europeans. You cannot. With this evidence, you can't, because if you compare this Egyptian governor of the Ptolemaic period, who is a Greek, and compare it to the older periods of Kemet, the differences are too telling. They're too much to say that they're the same people. First of all, the hair is different, the nose is different, the lips are different. Next one, we have a representation of Ptolemy the First and his Greek representation there as well. Notice that here the upper lip is gone, so we cannot talk about full lips here on his Egyptian version. And look at how they represented him in Greece. The hair is silky, the lips are not full, the prognatism is no longer there. As for his Egyptian version as well, you cannot say that this man here is the same as, say, Pharaoh Djoser. Alright, now let's compare. Let's go to Mesopotamia. Let's compare Mesopotamian wall carvings to those of Kemet. Look at these wall carvings from Kemet. What do you see that is common from this woman and this man who is Seti the First? This carving shows you full lips, a nose that is broad, and a brown skin. Same for the woman there. Pretty beautiful woman, typical African braids, curly hair. You look at her face, there is a prognatism. Both her and Seti show a prognatism. Their lips are both full. Now compare it to these two from the Middle East, to these two people from Mesopotamia. No more prognatism, no more full lips. The nose is typical of Arabic noses. I mean, this is the nose you see in Arabia everywhere, and that's not what you see in Kemet, at least not on the ancient statues. Look at the hair as well. The hair is silky. It is drawn to show that it is silky and then curled at the end. Next one, again, compare this statue from Mesopotamia and this statue from Kemet. This is Amenhotep III and Pharaoh of the 5th dynasty, Saoura. Compare the lips of the two people. The artists of Mesopotamia noticed that their people don't have full lips, so they captured it and put it in the statuary because it's a stereotypical feature. The nose, again, is not flat and broad, it's not flat and wide. It's protruding and narrow. Why again? Because the artist noticed that that's a common feature that he sees among his people. Now you go to Kemet. New Kingdom, Old Kingdom. New Kingdom, Amenhotep III. Full lips, because the artist again noticed that that's a common feature. The nose is completely different from that of the Mesopotamian men. Same for the Old Kingdom Pharaoh, Saoura. Full lips, broad nose. Different, completely different. You cannot remain intellectually honest when you see this evidence and say that these are the same people. You have to admit at some point that there was indeed a strong African presence, black African presence in Kemet, both in the Old Kingdom, the New Kingdom, and the Middle Kingdom, and also in the pre-dynastic period. Anyways, now let's compare. On the right, you have a statue from the Kingdom of Kush. This is a Kushite pharaoh. And on the left, you have a statue from Kemet of a Kushite pharaoh. Look at the features represented there. Kushites were definitely black, by the way, because everybody described them as that. And they are Sudanese. But still, you have Eurocentrists who come and say wild things that Nubians were not black. They were mixed. Yeah, people say that. They were not Africans as well. Why? Because they built pyramids, so they can't be Africans. Anyways, we can tell their agenda. They're pretty much, should I say the word? They're racists. Anyways, why am I showing this? Just to tell you that when they're representing these features, broad nose, full lips, they're representing African people, black people. And those are the features you saw in the Old Kingdom, the New Kingdom, and the Middle Kingdom. Next one, something pretty telling I have found as well. These are two Yoruba statues from West Africa, Nigeria. Guys, look at the hair. I'm bringing this for the hairstyles that we find on these Kemite statues and these Yoruba statues. This is how African artists chose to represent braids. So when we tell Western Egyptologists and Westerners in general that the hairstyles you are seeing, those squares you are seeing on Kemite statues represent typical African braids, they tell us, no, you're wrong. Here is evidence of Africans representing hairstyles from their land. Look at the representation. It's the same. Square, 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 rectangles, square, 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 rectangles on the Yoruba and on the Kemite statues. Let's move on. Now compare these hairstyles to those of Greece. Mediterranean people, that is not the hairstyle you see. You see silky hair. You don't see on the woman especially. If Greeks also used to have these kind of hair, why didn't they draw it like that? The difference is too striking because you can't do what you see on these two Kemite women with the hair texture you're seeing on that Greek statue. You cannot. And also notice the prognatism is gone, but these two have a prognatism. I wish we could see them from the profile. Anyways, the hairstyles are not the same. That's why I put this picture up. I wanted to show you that the hairstyles are not the same. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have shown a lot of pictures, a lot of pictures. So as you have seen in this video, the features present on Kemet statues are typical African features. I have shown you lords, pharaohs, and ladies. On all of their faces, the facial features match that of the West Africans, Central Africans, and most of all, East Africans. And that goes for their lips, their nose, their hair, and their skin complexion. We actually have evidence of ancient writers who saw the Kemites and described them as black, woolly-haired, and having protruding lips. And when you pair that evidence with the statues that have typical African features, you just can't remain intellectually honest and say that they were not Africans. With this, one cannot deny the strong black presence in Kemet. It is too obvious. You simply cannot imagine that description being applied on someone from Italy or Qatar. But still, we will have some people down in the comment section who will be telling people that all the Kemites were Eurasians and that the black element is only very minimal or inconsequential, or because of slavery. Lol. So you see Mentuhotep II, he was a slave. A pharaoh who was a slave. Ooh, wow, okay. If the Kemites were Eurasians, why didn't the Greeks describe them as looking just like any Greek man? Why describe their hair as woolly if the hair was straight as those of Eurasians? Why describe the skin as very dark or black instead of using a milder term to do so? Why use a term applied to describe Ethiopians when describing the ancient Egyptians if the Egyptians had olive skin? Why do that? The view that ancient Kemet was a Eurasian civilization that had a strong Eurasian presence and a very minimal black African presence can no longer stand today. Objectivity on this subject is quickly winning as colonial mentalities are fading. We have this information now, we have all this evidence now, we have better technology to show the evidence and spread it. They can no longer lie to us. The evidence is overwhelming. The subject of this video is the reason why the West would rather use fake reconstructions instead of the real artifacts when teaching children about Kemet. They are very much afraid that children would be susceptible to facts. Yes. If they show children the real thing, that is a real ancient Egyptian painting or statue, and ask them, what do you think of the skin? They're going to reply, the skin is brown, like that of Africans. If they ask them, what do you think of the lips? They're gonna say again, the lips are thick, they're big, like that of Africans. You ask them about the nose, they're going to tell you again, the nose is wide and big. And you ask them about the hair and tell them to describe it. They're going to describe frizzy hair. That's why they don't show real artifacts. Instead, they show children reconstructions like this one you see on the screen where everybody has straight hair and Caucasian skin and Caucasian features, so that when the child grows up, he grows up thinking ancient Egyptians were Caucasians like me. And when they grow up and see the real artifacts, the conditioning and the reality will clash. And oftentimes, human beings, instead of changing their belief, they would rather rationalize and go look, well, what race were the ancient Egyptians? I heard someone saying they were black and he showed me artifacts that indeed looked black. Then they go to Wikipedia or go watch a documentary and they're told there that scholars don't agree that they were black Africans. So they keep that belief instead of thinking for themselves and look at the evidence in front of them and say, hey, actually, it does make sense that they were black Africans. They are on African soil. Their origin is in Africa. Their statues have typical African features. And I saw a video that compiled ancient testimonies describing the Egyptians. And they all said they were black, very dark of skin. And their skin on wall paintings are all brown, most of them at least. So think for yourself. You realize, oh, it's an African civilization. The evidence is just too overwhelming. Anyways, I enjoyed making this video. Please like, share, and comment. It was a lot of work recording, mostly. Not compiling the pictures, but recording was a lot of work. Yeah, and editing as well. So please like and subscribe, please, because I'm trying to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So please subscribe. So please subscribe. We're almost at 3,000. 3,000 subscribers. A nice number. So let's go. Press the subscribe button. Peace.